Hi, everyone. Now that you are presenting new content to your students, I'm guessing that you might at some point need to use an interactive virtual whiteboard with students to work through problems or concepts together. So I have a really great tool to share with you called Jamboard, and it's great because it's part of the Google Suite, so you're going to be able to find it right in your Google Drive. It's been approved for use with students, so we're all set with that. And I'm going to show you how you can use Jamboard in a Google Meet. Even you could do it with a whole class, with a small group, or with individual students. So I'm going to walk you through it I'm using Google Meet right now to record. So the first thing is, how do you get to Jamboard to be able to use it? So there are two ways. One way, you can just go to the new tab, and you can either just go to jamboard.google.com. Just like you can go to Google Drive by going to drive.google.com. And then I'm going to just go ahead and hit enter, and you'll see that I'll get right to Jamboard. So here is an example of a Jamboard, just so you can see one. This I did a professional development recently with a few people in the district, and this is what we did together. So we all had the right to add to this board through the sharing, and the sharing works the same way as it does with a Google Doc or a Google Slideshow. So you can share Jamboards with your students, and what's really nice is they can actually be collaborating and adding to the Jamboard with you. So you could do something like this with your students. It looks similar to Padlet, where in real time you could be collaborating with your students and having them, once you've shared this Jamboard with them, they could go over here to, these are the sticky notes right here. They could click on that and they could be adding sticky notes to your brainstorming session. So you can see here we were doing a quick brainstorm on what's one purpose of education, and we were each adding sticky notes. And another great thing about Jamboard is that you can have multiple pages, kind of like your Smart Notebook files. So if you look up here, I can see the different pages, and I can go to the second page. We answered a different question using a pink sticky note. So you could see that you could do multiple page Jamboards. So the other way to get to it is you can also go right through your Google Drive. So if I'm in my Google Drive here, and you might want to get right into a folder to keep your files organized. So you'll see right here, if I go into, see if I'm in a folder already. Okay, so I'm just in my folder, and you're going to go to more. So this was obviously how you'd make a Google Doc or a Google slide, and instead you're just going to click on this more button here, about halfway down. So here are some other things you could do, Google Drawings, things like that. So scroll down, and I'm going to open up Jamboard. So this is the other way that you can get to Jamboard and keep your files very organized. And then you just would hit the plus here to make a new one. Okay, so I'm going to make a new Jamboard. So the first thing you want to do, you'll see that it's untitled. So just like any file, you want to give it a name, so you can easily find it and know what it is. So I'm going to click on the untitled here, and then I'm just going to rename it. So I'll just call this sample Jamboard. All right, so the tools that you might want to look at, you can zoom in if you're showing something you think it's a little small, make it bigger for kids to see. Background, you can actually have line paper, graph paper, different color backgrounds. You might want to do that. And then this is how you would clear the entire Jamboard and start fresh. Options for the writing, there's a pen, there's a marker, a highlighter, and a brush, and all these different colors. So it is nice. It's a pretty straightforward interface. You have an eraser here, a select tool. So if you wanted to move something, you can click on this and then go and drag something to another spot on your Jamboard. Sticky notes. So you could add notes to your board. You could have kids adding sticky notes like you saw from my example. The other thing that's nice is you can do a transparent sticky note. So let's say you wanted to put names on the board. I just picked this one, which says none, and I hit save. And then it looks basically like a text box. So now if I click off of it, and I can stretch it, make it bigger. All right, so there you go for the sticky notes. Images are great, so you can actually add pictures from the web, from your computer, and from Drive. So if I click on Add Image here, okay, I'm going to do a Google image search, and let's say we were talking about the life cycle. You can just type that right in, and then pick the picture that I like. Okay, so I'm going to pick this one. And the nice thing is you can annotate right over pictures. Okay, so there we go. I can make this bigger if I want. Okay, and then I can be using the marker or whatever tool I'd like to use. And maybe I'm talking about this, so I want to draw an arrow to it. I want to circle a word I want them to know, think about. Okay, things like that. So you can be annotating. And then this is a little laser pointer. So if you wanted to be pointing out an area that they should look at, you can kind of show them, it's just like goes away. So you can highlight an area for them. So like I said, once I'm done, I'm just going to clear the frame and you can start again. You could also add a new page if you wanted to keep this. And you can download this as a PDF right over here. So if you wanted to save what you've been working on right here, you can download as a PDF and look at this again. All right, so I'm going to clear here. And I'm thinking one of the ways you would want to use this is for math and working students, like I said, either whole group, small group, individually through solving problems. And you might even want to have them work through a problem with you, so you could set it up and then have them get onto the Jamboard and solve it with you watching them do that and kind of coaching them through that. So what you could do is, let's say I'm going to go to an exit ticket, and I'm going to put the directions and the problem in for the students to see. So I'm going to just do a screenshot. So you can definitely put screenshots in here. So I'm going to do I'm on a Mac, Command-Shift-4 to take a screenshot on a Mac. So I want the directions. If you're on a PC, remember you use the snip and sketch to do a screenshot. So now I'm going to also do this problem. We're going to work on this problem together. Okay, so now that I have my screenshots, I'm going to go back to my Jamboard. I'm going to go to add an image. And I'm just, instead of doing the Google image search, I'm going to upload from my computer. So you can either drag your files, the screenshots here, or you can just select from your computer, however you like to do it. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to go, my screenshots were saved on my desktop. So I'm going to click on the bottom one, which should be my problem. So I'm going to open. Unfortunately, you can only do these one at a time. So if you do have more than one image you want to bring in, you'll just have to do them one and then the other. So there's my problem I want to work on with students. All right, and here my directions are. All right, so now I'm going to just drag these, make them a little bigger so students can see better. Okay. All right, so there we go. So I have it set up. Maybe I'll make this a little bigger. Okay, and it's telling me now to use disks and record the products vertically as shown below. So what we'll do is I'm going to now share this. Let's say you wanted a student to do this and you're going to coach them through it. So what you can do is you can, just like you share a Google Doc, you're going to click on share. And the easiest way to get this to the students is to just put it in the chat in your Google Meet. So what you're going to do after you share it is you're going to just get a link. So just in case, I'm going to just make this open to anyone and not restrict it to North Reading, just to make sure that the kids can easily get into it. So I'm going to click where it says change link to North Reading Public Schools. And I'm going to go here on this little drop down, and I'm going to say anyone with the link. Okay, so that means anyone, and I don't have to worry about how they're logged in or anything like that, but I do want them to be able to edit it. So I'm going to change this to edit. Okay, and then just to make sure that the link's been updated, I always just hit done. Then I just go back again to share because I've closed out, and then I'm going to copy the link here. So copy link. All right, now I'm going to go into the chat. So I'm here in our Google Meet. Okay, I'm going to tell students go into the chat, click there, and then I'm going to put the link for you. So I'm going to paste it in, and you'll see it's jamboard.google.com followed by a bunch of characters, and then I'm just going to hit enter. So now when students click on that link, they'll be able to go in. So if I go back to the Jamboard, I'll be able to see them actually writing on here, and like I said, kind of coach them through. So it's really neat that you can be doing something. So let's say they need a little help, and you're going to set up the problem for them vertically and then have them solve it. So you could go in here and just do this, especially because they, maybe they have a little trouble with their mouse putting a lot. So you could set things up for them. And now you could say, okay, now it's your turn. Go ahead and solve this. Another thing is Jamboard does come as an app. So you could get it on your, if you have a tablet, an iPad, an Android tablet, you could get it, and then you could use your finger or a stylus, and that would make it a little easier to write. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so now that I have my math problem, the students are all set to solve it. And I think this would be a great way to do small groups with students. So especially, math, but there are obviously a lot of ways you could use this. Like I said, for brainstorming, using the sticky notes would be great. And then the last thing I wanted to show is that you could actually do this for younger students too. This was an example jam that I saw. So you can see here that by using sticky notes, which are on the right side, and then doing Google image searches and pulling in pictures, you could easily make a drag and drop activity. Then once you give students the link, they could be doing the dragging and drag the picture to the correct sticky note. So you can see lots of ideas for how this could be used. And another thing is when you're in your Jamboard to remember is that you have, like I said, you have multiple pages. So what you could do is work through a problem like this with everyone and sort of do it with them. And then you could actually make a page for each student. So I could start a new one, and then you could just put the student's name with the sticky note. And you would have this obviously set up ahead of time, and then you could have a problem on each page. You could have the same one, a different one, and then you could have the students actually going through and tell them to go to their page, look for the sticky note with their name on it, go to that page, and then solve the problem. So you could actually have them all working on multiple pages of a jam, which I think would be a really cool way for them to be collaborating. And then you could have, if students wanted to show what they had done to the other classmates, you could go to their page and have them walk through their work. So definitely a tool that I think has a lot of great uses, and I'm hoping that this will be something that you might try out during your Google Meet sessions.